The discipline in the team's been great, and the skill level's very good too. And when you're playing 25-minute halves, you can't afford to make too many errors.
Significant arrests, just what Commissioner Ryan wants to see when he visits the Hunter next week. A stolen car chase resulted in 31-year-old Christopher Lloyd facing 6 charges, including 2 for armed robbery in Newcastle Court today. The Newcastle Operations Support Group's Inspector Neil Scarr says police are making a difference to the region's crime levels. In terms of property crime, the anti-theft unit has made 361 arrests in the past 6 months, resulting in 1,341 charges and the recovery of nearly $500,000 in property, most of which has been engraved.
So when you have a look at that one group and with what they've done over the 6-month period, I'm not gilding the lily at all. That's exceptional.
On the trains, buses and ferries, police say increased patrols have resulted in $200,000 in fines being issued this year, up 140% from 1999, while increases in arrests for antisocial behaviour are up by 10%. Inspector Scarr claims the Maitland line has been cleaned up, while Metford Station is no longer a hotspot.
We have the safest public transport system in New South Wales.
And there will be new targets for the Hunters Operational Support Group. In
particular, Charlestown Mall and the Raymond Terrace area.
To outsiders, Neon Ali would have looked like she had it all. But unbeknownst to the 250 guests at her wedding last November, her lavish lifestyle was provided at the expense of her Cardiff employer, Michael Van Dyke. Little did he know that during her employment she created false invoices and paid herself almost $207,000 over 16 months, each cheque perfectly forged. In May, a magistrate sentenced her to just 2 months jail for 40 fraud-related charges, a sentence contested today by the Department of Public Prosecution. Released from jail last Friday, a heavily pregnant Ali was back in court today, the Crown claiming this wasn't the first time she committed such an offence and that even though she was never convicted, she stole $10,000 from a previous employer which was later repaid. Taking the stand today, the church organist confessed that part of her motivation was the thrill of not getting caught and no one knowing. She went on to say it was the convenience of having the money, it was just the lifestyle I wanted to lead. But before sentencing, Judge Armitage asked why, if she was genuine about paying the money back, why she hadn't sold a few things, including a new car, and given the bank back a few $100s. Judge Armitage also questioned the compensation of the stolen funds, saying he doubts very much that any significant amount will ever be repaid. Ali, who is due early next month, will start weekend detention in 2 weeks' time.
You couldn't get a more contrasting build-up to a semi-final. The home side, Newcastle, went behind locked doors midweek, but after blowing in last night, the Storm showed they had nothing to hide today.
We've tried to learn from our experiences last year that we don't tighten up too much. I mean, we need to relax and enjoy it and stay focused, but make sure that we're ready to play football on the day.
In fact, with several former Newcastle faces in the side, they can't wait to get out on the paddock again tomorrow.
It's a highlight of the year, especially this time of year if you're playing in the semis.
Boys, I hope there's going to be a nice big crowd here, 25 plus, I hope, and I hope they're all on their heads off at us, yeah.
For Brett Kamali, he's back to his former home ground as the game's best number 7 and with the Blues and Kangaroo halfback jobs. But tomorrow's game is being billed as the unofficial test of the best against Andrew Johns.
I suppose the only way to decide is on the paddock. Obviously it's been good to get named there the other day, but I suppose tomorrow's the probably the last time we'll play each other this year, and there's a lot at stake at the end of the year, and like you said, maybe the best halfback will be decided tomorrow.
But for a player who was once Johns' understudy at Newcastle, playing well in his old hometown means that little bit more.
I can sort of prove a few points. If I come here and play well, then I might probably earn a little bit more respect up here.
As Kangaroos coach, Chris Anderson says the World Cup halfback job won't be decided on one game, but he's still looking forward to the clash nonetheless.
It's just going to be a pleasure to watch them both play, isn't it? They're both tremendous footballers.
Late today, there was still around 4,000 general admission tickets left, with the game on NBN tomorrow afternoon from 4 o'clock. Jim Callanan, NBN News.
"16-year-old Travis Lynch is just one of many hoping for an overnight change in the swell at Merewether Beach. He'll be competing in the 2-day Merewether Teams Challenge, the second largest event of its kind in Australia and a springboard for up-and-coming grommets.
They have been in the past. They've actually developed the strength of Australian surfing, and we're hoping to recreate that and put Australia back up there on a world stage in a greater place.
This year's event will see the likes of Matt Hoy, Simon Law, Nathan Webster and Damien Hardman.
I've always admired Damien surfing, and while I was a lot younger I still really looked up to guys like him, and also Matt Hoy, who's surfing for us, and Simon Law and people like that, so it would be a really good chance to surf with those guys.
10 8-man teams, including Catherine Hill Bay, Avoca, Ballina and Merewether, will fight it out for a $4,000 prize kitty. Meanwhile, it's the end of the line for either Hamilton or Maitland tomorrow in NBN Soccer League's minor semi-final, with the loser eliminated. The winner of Sunday's game will advance straight to the grand final. In round 17 Newcastle Rugby League action, there are 2 games tomorrow, while on Sunday the West Waratah clash and the Lake Cessnock games are the pick. And in Newcastle Rugby Union, the battle for 3rd and 4th spot continues tomorrow between the Waratahs and Hamilton. Eastern Districts, Uni and Nelson Bay are all at home.
A tip of the hat and they're off. Hundreds leaving Tokal over private land and by road on a journey for children with cancer. Heading into Maitland Vale in the early morning, unexpected spectators hurried to catch a glimpse, though the Morpeth Medicine ride organisers were quick to clear the way for sulkies carrying children with cancer. They could be the main beneficiaries of the ride, with $50,000 looking to be donated towards the establishment of the John Hunter Hospital's Children's Cancer Unit.
Oh, it's a great cause.
Very good cause, yeah. And, glad to see a lot of people get here. Good ride.
Though it wasn't always easy riding.
Some people, get a few spooky horses and that, but mine's a bit spooky itself, but, when they're not spooky and that, and it's pretty good, yeah.
According to police, a Newcastle teenager found the explosives and took them to Rutherford, where the bomb he was trying to light went off in his hands. He sustained serious injuries and underwent surgery in Maitland Hospital this afternoon. The other 15-year-old from Rutherford, knocked over by the blast, was injured by shrapnel and also had to be operated on. Meanwhile, police in Raymond Terrace are investigating 2 arson attacks overnight. The first was at the Travelland office in William Street, Raymond Terrace. A security guard discovered the fire, which was set outside the office, and managed to put it out using a fire hose with the assistance of police. 2 windows from neighbouring businesses were also broken. In Woodbury, another public school has suffered at the hands of arsonists. Firefighters were called shortly before 7 last night and extinguished the blaze in an hour, but could not save its contents. The attack on the school's sports shed makes no sense, and police are treating it as a case of arson. Forensic officers have already been through the remains to begin their investigation. David McElwain, NBN News.
Police say just after 4 o'clock this morning, a 22-year-old Cooks Hill woman walked into the 7-Eleven store in the Hunter Street Mall wearing a balaclava and armed with what appeared to be a blood-filled syringe. As she began her demands for money, little did she know that a routine security patrol was just metres away, as was a police unit. The security officer held the woman at gunpoint until police arrived. Charged with attempted armed robbery, she was refused bail in Newcastle Court today and will face the magistrate again tomorrow. Just 2 hours later, a man in his 30s pulled a handgun on the attendant at the Islington Caltex service station on Maitland Road. He made off with a small amount of cash. And almost 30 cars were broken into overnight near the Newcastle Workers Club. Mobile phones, handbags and cash were the targets. The price war began overnight with Newcastle-based Impulse Airlines offering GST-inclusive $33 fares between Newcastle and Sydney. Tickets between Sydney and Tamworth, Port Macquarie and Armidale will sell for $66.
We're not going to go broke. You know, we put the fare in the market. It's sustainable. It's part of our business plan.
The cut price fare does come with strict conditions. It's non-refundable, non-transferable, only on off-peak flights in August and must be paid for by credit card over the internet. Impulse says it's sold 1,200 of the tickets already, with thousands more available.
It's a good way for us to get people to come and use the airline, try it, and if they like it, they'll continue to come back.
And use it they will.
I'm from Brisbane, time to drive down, drive back, it's really economical.
At that price I'd fly. I mean, God, you could jump on a plane for $33 and go shopping, couldn't you?
But it's the $66 Sydney-Melbourne fare that's caused the stir, forcing both Ansett and Qantas to match it.
Just take advantage of it while you can, while the good fares are there. Do it now.
It's not just going to end at August. We're going to have promotional fares ongoing.
Paul Lobb, NBN News.
The council are conscious of the economic impact that it's having not only on this family but potentially other families. However, we've been given the consideration of their health as well.
According to council, people are dumping unwanted pet ducks in the Lakeland stormwater basin, and they're causing plenty of problems.
The ducks are actually polluting the waters of the channel and increasing the nutrient activity in the channel, and also fouling the grassland.
Its solution, introducing a $550 fine for abandoning birds in the reserve and moving the domestic ducks on into the temporary care of Animal Liberation,
who will then look after the ducks and find them a happy home.
The native ducks would stay put. The proposal goes before council next Monday. Meanwhile, General Manager Ken Holt told last night's council meeting that there's been a significant reduction in sulphur dioxide emissions from the Pasminco smelter since its scrubber unit has come online. The plant is now updating a map of the fallout area. A decision on a proposed single-storey house within council's restricted development zone has been deferred until next week. And the city's torchbearers gathered at the chambers last night for the final time before carrying the Olympic flame later this month. One of the nation's youngest members of the relay, Dan Proud, showing his colleagues how it's done.
Mark Alley's battered body was found dumped off a dirt track at Spears Point in December 1992. The 23-year-old had choked on his own vomit after being beaten unconscious. But almost 8 years on, his death remains a mystery. The details surrounding the crime revisited before his family at the resumption of a committal hearing at Newcastle Local Court today for the man charged with his death. 35-year-old Wayne Newton appeared on 5 charges, including manslaughter and unlawfully disposing a body. The court heard evidence from the mother of Newton's ex-girlfriend, Mrs. Isabel Anstey. Mrs. Anstey said Wayne Newton visited her the week after Mark Alley's death, asking her, "Would you say that I was at your place at 12 o'clock on Saturday?" When she asked why, he replied, "Because they've taken my car and they're going to accuse me of Mark's death simply because I've got a silver car." She then alleges he said, "Tell them I was mowing the lawn, doing a job, anything." Her reply, "I don't think I can do that. That's telling a lie. That's a biggie." But when defence barrister Pat Costello disputed facts in a police interview she made in 1997, Mrs. Anstey admitted that wasn't exactly how she worded the conversation to police. "Quite a bit of this interview is not correct, is it?" Mrs. Anstey replied, "No, probably not." The hearing continues tomorrow. Helen Kapelos, NBN News.
10-month-old Brodie McFawn died in Muswellbrook in 1996 when he leaned on the side of his cot. It collapsed, pinning him underneath and suffocating him. The state government acted immediately, taking the collapsible model off the market. 4 years on and it's intervening again, this time targeting second-hand dealers where safety standards aren't always met.
People will sell their older cast-off nursery furniture that they don't need, and it probably still looks okay, but we've learned so much over the last 5 to 10 years about how we can prevent injuries to children.
Today's cots have many more safety features than they did 4 years ago. Things to look for when buying a cot include the height of the mattress so the child cannot climb out and the width between bars. The Minister for Fair Trading, John Watkins, has ordered departmental staff to target businesses which may be selling unsafe nursery furniture. Strangely, there is no Australian standard to go by, just a voluntary code of conduct for manufacturers.
We've done that with child restraints and with strollers, but we need to move on to nursery furniture.
Leonie says responsibility lies with the dealer and the buyer. She believes the answer is educating both and hopes the government's actions are just the beginning.
Well, I'd like to see all dangerous equipment removed from the market, and I think if we can educate the sellers, that's going to take a lot of it away because they won't put it on the market through ignorance.
With equal parts humour and ability, Irish boxers Michael Roach and Bernard Dunn hit the Broadmeadow canvas on the final run home to Sydney 2000. 28-year-old Michael has been Ireland's senior champion for the last 4 years. He qualified for Sydney, beating some of Europe's best, but the hard work doesn't stop here.
It's just high intense training from here on, and 3 times a day, 7 days a week, up until the games, and maybe a week before relax.
He's joined by 20-year-old featherweight Bernard Dunn, a national senior champion and national champion since the tender age of 11. He's first reserve in the 56-kilo division. Both will be sparring with Newcastle boxers and taking to the beaches as they strive for gold.
Everything here is perfect for us. The gym, the people, the atmosphere, so we're happy to be here.
They head south to the Olympic Village in mid-September, taking with them a take-no-prisoners attitude.
We've another 4 or 5 weeks of this, and then we should be fit enough by then to take on the rest of the world, hopefully,
Blake Doyle, NBN News.
"9 a.m. yesterday and an early run down the intermediate walkabout trail ended in an airlift to Canberra Hospital for 16-year-old Tim Smith. A popular student who excelled in sports and study, Tim was one of 52 Newcastle High students on an annual sport and recreation camp. He fought for his life but died from head injuries about 2 this morning. Though it was raining at the time of the accident, conditions were described as good by the resort managers. It was Tim Smith's first snowboarding trip, and they say he appears to have lost control and crashed into a clump of trees. The other Newcastle High students on the excursion returned today and will be provided with counselling by the Education Department.
The Newcastle Breakers have 4 new names so far to add to their lineup, and from past seasons, Lee Sterry believes that taking on players with experience is the way to get results.
We've secured them for 2-year contracts, both of them, and it's a matter of now us making the next level. So this is just the first start of our building towards that semi-final position.
Asala Masanassau has joined the ranks, coming from reigning premiers Wollongong Wolves. He's a deadly striker who believes that he can make a big difference to the Breakers' finals hopes.
When I was with Wollongong, I set
to score 17 goals for the season, but I didn't achieve that. And I think with the breakers, I'll be able to achieve that.
But that'll depend on his fellow forwards and support from midfield. That's where recent recruit Peter Sekenis fits in.
He's shown, confidence in us by signing us, and we have to show that back in our efforts at training, and obviously when the games come, we have to put in and prove ourselves. And to the boys that already been here from last year, that we're worthy of it.
From the lounge room to the local pub, it's been a steady rise for Maitland's pop rock combo Muzzy Pep. After winning youth radio network Triple J's Unearthed competition 18 months ago, the band has clocked up an estimated 75,000 kilometres on tours up and down the east coast. They're now set to broaden their horizons across regional Australia after being given $10,000 in federal government arts touring grants.
We've had a lot of response from fans around the country to try and get us to come to their area and ask when we are coming, so this now gives us money to kind of venture into those areas.
The money will also be used to harness technology. The band's website will be improved, giving them access to a potential audience beyond Australia's shores.
Put the technicals out further for digital downloading of music. We want to try and promote the digital realm of our product as much as we can.
With a relatively new album to promote, the tour of regional Australia will take in the far corners of Western Australia, far north Queensland and the Northern Territory.
The Shortland Wetlands Centre may be struggling to keep afloat, but it's not going to go down without a fight. In a bid to promote its facilities, the Wetlands Centre today launched a new brochure, the first in 2 years.
We haven't been able to afford one, but with the support that we've had from the community, and I'm talking about the whole community, business community as well as the private community in the last 6 months, we've now in a position to be able to launch a brochure.
The pamphlets will be sent to other tourism operators in the hope word of mouth will help attract more visitors.
They will be helping to spread the word, if you like, in relation to the fact that the Wetlands Centre is alive and well, and to indicate to those people just the benefits of coming here.
The centre is also trying to sell a piece of land adjacent to the wetlands to raise much-needed funds. The 1.5 hectare parcel of land has been listed with 2 real estate agents. But in the meantime, the Centre hopes Newcastle Council will lend it the money.
Council have committed to provide that funding for us. The $200,000 is a great fillip for us, but they want to see the development application on their table prior to committing to that $200,000.
Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.
Body and mind have been the focus for the Knights today. 2 training sessions taking care of the former, a bonding session tonight looking after the latter. While it'll be an informal gathering, experienced campaigners like the Johns brothers, Tony Butterfield and Billy Peden are expected to come to the fore as the players discuss their hopes and dreams at the culmination of a tough season.
We've had something like 27 games, straight, so to have that week off is just a good little sort of downtime for us. And yeah, as I said, we can get away and set a few goals and sort of look to the rest of the series.
Meanwhile, Adam McDougall was ill and didn't train this morning, and Andrew Johns was resting up. The club, though, saying there's no injury concerns for the semis. And a brief but welcome break for some young patients at Newcastle's John Hunter Hospital today, with a performance by champion buskers, Split Sound. Ben Mingay and Paul Corber won the night's inaugural busking competition, which raised $1,700 for the hospital's oncology unit. Injured fullback Robbie O'Davis handed over the welcome funds.
From the looks on their fellow classmates' faces, it's not hard to see why this group of Hunter School of Performing Arts students won the drama section of the State Shakespeare Festival. The school also took out the dance section for the third year in a row.
It's a competition that's open to all secondary schools throughout the state, and both public and private, and all regions in the state are represented, so yeah, it's a great award for the kids to win.
But winning such a prestigious award doesn't happen without a lot of hard work.
We spent about 6 weeks on it, and we did a lot of preparation before, like choosing which one we were going to do.
All 5 students are now in the running for a chance to travel to London and study with the Royal Shakespearean Company.